Good evening, everyone,
Good
and
evening,
welcome to
everyone, and
Legends of the
welcome to
Wind.
Legends of the Wind.
Thanks for joining us
Thanks for
tonight.
joining.
I'm getting some echo. So this is a live show, isn't it? So we're working on getting our technical issues worked out and things addressed. So we do apologize for some of the issues. But I want to welcome you tonight to our broadcast on Legends of the Wind. We have an amazing story tonight. It's a bit of a fantasy story. And for those of us who
And for
checked
those
this
of us
out
who
last night with Deanna, it was a wonderful time of telling her story through a poem, more of a spoken word thing, and it worked well for her. It really inspired her and encouraged her. And we've been doing this from a promotion from what we offered back in December. And some people signed up and to get a free story. And
to get
tonight
a
we
free
have
story.
Andrea Brown, and we'll go ahead and bring her on right now. Hey, Andrea, how you doing?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. So, I
Of course,
guess
I'm honored to be here.
awesome. Can you tell our audience how did you come about knowing about Legends of the Wind, and what was the motivation for you to ask for a free story?
Well, I found out about Legends of the Wind from Bible study. I actually wasn't on Bible study that day. A friend of mine was on, and as soon as she got off, she called me and immediately started telling me about Legends of the Wind. It made me really struck my curiosity. Something very different. I've never really heard of prophecy kind of mixed with storytelling. So it sounded very fascinating and interesting, and it was definitely something that I wanted to be a part of.
Well, that's cool. Thanks. I really appreciate it. You know, I started doing this actually in Los Angeles back in 2008 and 9, and was working with the elementary kids and writing stories the same way for them, and then it branched out to adults. And it was a big hit with the families and with the people, and the stories will reach all ages and boys and girls. And it's really powerful what happens when people's lives get touched and encouraged. And just so you know, to the viewers, I don't interview anybody. I don't get any bio emailed me. I don't research anybody. So, Andrea, have I ever talked to you prior to tonight?
No, you have not.
And you've never sent me anything, correct?
That is correct.
Correct. So this is a huge risk for me, right? And you know,
See
you,
how?
Andrea, you may have your nerves. I have my nerves too.
Of course.
don't. I'm just a human person too. But I do have a gift that I love telling stories, and I love helping others find and discover their story. The way I kind of picture it is sort of like, imagine that there's a library in heaven, and there's many books, and there's a book written just about you, and it contains your stories. It doesn't have to be a literal true to life story. It could be any genre: fantasy, fairy tales, sci-fi, thrillers, whatever. But they tell your story, and they help you discover your identity and destiny. Also, I found that these stories can bring a lot of healing and restoration. And I've gone through a lot in my life.
And I've
Um,
gone through a lot in my life.
and so it's important to me to bring healing to myself from the spirit, and also to give that back to others. And that's how these stories work. So, Andrea, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I am ready.
Okay, I'm going to read you your story now. Just so you know,
Okay.
you and the
I'm
audience
gonna
and
read
Andrea,
your
it's a
story.
bit of a longer story. It's about 5 pages, and we'll go ahead and go for it. Okay. The title is
All right.
"Follow Me."
The title is Follow.
Andrea woke up to feel the heat of the room, for her house was on fire. She sat up in a rush and screamed as she looked around her. The flames were reaching from under her bedroom door and trapped her. There was nowhere to go. Panicked, she leapt out of her bed and went to the window as the room was filling with smoke. Andrea tried to open the window, but she could not unseal it. Andrea cried out, "Help me! Somebody help me!" Andrea's dolls and toys were all over the floor, and the walls had posters on them featuring her favorite movies and musical singers. They were melting and burning up.
Melting.
Andrea thought to herself, she's going to hell as a teenager. The flames increased, and Andrea grabbed her favorite teddy bear and collapsed onto the floor crying. She clung to the doll and spoke to Teddy. "Can someone help us?" Suddenly, the teddy bear's eyes glowed with a bright white light. This startled Andrea, and she tossed Teddy across the room. Andrea trembled in fear. She watched Teddy move his limbs and stand on his feet. Andrea couldn't believe what she was seeing. Andrea cried, "Teddy, save us!" Teddy took out a pencil and held it out. A laser beam showed out of it. Teddy drew a rectangle shape of a door on the wall opposite of the fire. The edges of the door shone a bright light. All at once, the door opened and there was darkness on the other side. Teddy ran up to Andrea and said, "Get up, follow me." Andrea didn't know what to think, but the smoke was worse and the bed was now on fire. Andrea stood. Teddy ran through the doorway and said, "Hurry, Andrea." Andrea jumped out into the darkness and followed Teddy, who seemed to glow with a soft white light. Andrea entered the unknown. She left a place of turmoil and fire, pain and agony. Now Andrea stepped into the world of darkness and hidden things. She didn't know where she was going. She only followed her bear. The smoke and flames left. However, the pain of the past still held strong in her heart. The teenage years had been so hard on her. Andrea stopped to look around in the empty space. Teddy was off in the distance, only a small glowing dot on the horizon. "Teddy," she asked, "where am I?" Teddy called back, "You are in freedom." "But I can't see. Where are we going?" Andrea asked. Teddy stopped walking, and another door of light opened before him. Teddy stood in the doorway. He said, "Follow me." Andrea walked in the darkness toward the distant doorway. Her footsteps were on wet tile or rock. Every movement left a splish and splash as she moved forward. Teddy went out into the next space into white light and disappeared. Soon Andrea came to the door. She looked out. "Teddy?" This next room was a garden full of green grass, many trees, and a stream flowing down the middle of it. It was like heaven. Andrea gasped at its beauty. "What is this place, Teddy?" A voice spoke behind her and said, "It is my garden of delight, dear Andrea." Andrea turned around and saw that the doorway of darkness disappeared, and the garden was still all around her. The source of the voice was remarkable. A huge white stallion stood in front of her. He said, "Do you like it? Do you know I work very hard to keep it in tip-top shape?" The talking horse amazed Andrea. She said, "It's beautiful. I've never met a talking horse before." The white stallion bowed his head and kneeled a little. He said, "I am Rykard. I am the keeper of the land. I see you've come here for healing and wisdom." Andrea looked around and saw a pathway that made its way through the garden. She asked, "You are the most beautiful horse I have ever seen. What is this place? Can I look around?" Rykard replied, "Come." Together, they traveled down the pathway and walked through various areas that teemed with life. The birds were chirping, flowers of all kinds dotted the scene. The wind blew gently on the branches of the trees. While they walked, Rykard explained how when he was a young foal, he had injured his leg. The accident made him afraid that he would never walk again. His master even considered putting Rykard down, thinking Rykard could be of no use to him. He was only a lame horse. However, one day, as Rykard explained, he stumbled out of the barn, and met a tall man of glowing light. This glowing man shined brighter than the sun and put his hand on Rykard's leg. Instantly, the leg became well. Happy, Rykard leaped and ran through the fields. This moment forever changed his life. The glowing white man shone even brighter and said to Rykard, "If you follow me, I will help you give to others what I have done for you. Would you like to go on a journey?" Rykard agreed, and the glowing white man opened a door to enter the garden they are now in. Rykard explained to Andrea that this garden of healing is vast and contains many fruits in its bushes and trees. There is a spring in the center that bubbles and gurgles of living water. Andrea asked with excitement, "Can I see this water?" Without a word, Rykard took Andrea and brought her to the spring. It was a pond that bubbled and had a border of stone all around it. The overflow made a small waterfall and formed the head of the stream that went out into the distance. Andrea felt refreshed and kicked off her slippers. She dangled her feet in the water. As soon as she touched them, flashes of memories of pain immediately entered her mind. There were images of shouting and fear, images of pain and shame. Andrea gasped at their remembrance. She screamed. Reichert came to her and nuzzled his snout into her hair. He said, "It's okay, Andrea. Your pain and agony are now washing away. You dipped into the living water. Its purpose is to remove death from your soul." Andrea put her feet deeper into the water and leaned forward as she sat. Deep agony and grief rose in her soul, and she cried. The words of lying tongues came to her front of her mind. She saw vicious people speak terrible things to her. Her tears were black, like mascara running down her cheeks. This poison was leaving her body. Andrea heaved and cried as all the pain and anger left her body. The process exhausted Andrea, and she fell on her side and crawled into a fetal position. Reichert kneeled down and lay next to her. His long head and neck surrounded her. He said, "The trauma has left you now, but you still need to make a choice." With closed eyes and almost no more strength left in her, Andrea asked, "What is it?" Reichert replied, "Forgive. Forgive them, the ones who hurt you. These living waters have allowed you to become free from infection, but the wound will finish healing if you release them." Andrea thought about these words and opened her eyes. She sat up and asked, "Will I be able to go on if I do this?" Reichert replied, "If you do this, your future will take care of itself. But if you do not, your future will still wait for you, as you are stuck in the past." "But they hurt me. They shouldn't get away with it." "Your heart is the matter here, dear Andrea. Make your choice." Andrea took a deep breath and realized now she was now free of the pain, but she still had to choose. "Okay, I will do it." Andrea closed her eyes and saw all the people in front of her who did her harm. With silent words and declarations, she spoke in her heart about the release of all the people. Andrea processed the events and opened her eyes. She said, "It's done." Reichert neighed into light and stood on his 4 feet. "Excellent, wonderful news." Andrea rose to her feet as well and asked, "Where do I go now?" Another familiar voice spoke up, "To your future." Andrea turned around and saw it was Teddy standing on the grass. She smiled in delight and picked him up. "I missed you, Teddy." Reichert walked and brought Andrea, carrying Teddy, to a stone wall with a wooden doorway. Andrea asked, "Is that my future?" The wooden door opened, and it was dark inside. Andrea stepped forward, and again darkness surrounded her. With about 10 or 15 steps, Andrea moved forward. Teddy's eyes were bright with white light again, and they shone on the doorway with a handle. Andrea opened the door and found herself in her room, in her house. It was in perfect condition, as if there was no fire or damage done to it. The sight amazed Andrea. She said, "My home! It's perfect. How can this be?" Andrea looked out to the window and saw that it was night. The moon and stars shined. Andrea crawled into bed with Teddy. She held him tight and smiled as she closed her eyes. Andrea's dreams within dreams splashed in her imagination. She traveled to more lands and met many different creatures. Her life was full of hope again. Inceptio.
That was a lot. That was a lot. And I'm really, from like your first sentence, I'm really fighting back tears.
Okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
What I want to
I'm
do
fighting back tears because
is
how
just-
much it resonates
Yes.
with the season that I'm currently in and
Okay.
the things that I have been going through. I'm really going through a tumultuous season, trying season in my life. And, God has spoken to me and promised me that, hey, you're covered.
Mm-hmm.
I've got you. However, when the wind is coming so strong at you,
Yeah.
it's hard. You lose focus, and your focus sometimes it veers away from God's word, and you're more so focusing on the wind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in those times, in those struggles, it's hard to keep your faith, which is what I feel like that walking through that darkness and that dark hallway um, signified, and just, coming out on the other side, um, and opening that door and seeing that green grass and that gurgling fountain. Um,
Yeah.
and, everything so beautiful on the other side, really just spoke to me and lets me know that, God's word, I can stand strong on it,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I have to look forward to, as long as I don't lose faith and focus.
So, are you saying at this very moment you're still in that dark hallway versus the garden?
I feel like I feel like I'm right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm standing on the brink of my breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm feeling like I'm right there. So, sometimes when your breakthrough is right around the corner, that's when things really start to pile up on you.
Yeah, I understand.
So, right? So
Well,
definitely, it definitely resonated with me. The whole story from beginning to end.
wow, that's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to toot my horn or say, look how great I am about writing a prophetic story, but the whole point is for you, the one who received the story, to be encouraged and to be strengthened and to be given life and hope. And I believe that's happening right now. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know that you need time to process this story and this encounter. So I'll email you tonight your story, and you can chew on it, right? And it's also on the broadcast. You can get it online. But
Right.
I also really want to be sensitive to you, because this story deals with trauma and abuse and a painful heart and a healing that's promised. And I want to emphasize that you have a happy ending. One of the things I always end all these stories with is the word inceptio. Inceptio is not the end. This is not the end. I give you a picture of your story in your book, and then you get to continue walking. And inceptio means the beginning. So I believe that this story can help you continue your journey, and that you can enter into that garden, meet the teddy bear and the horse, and receive
Right.
restoration. So
Right.
I really expect that for you, that this significance of this story really hitting your heart in this way. It's beyond me. I'm just a conduit, a vessel for you, right? I mean, the Father is
Right.
speaking to you. He's come to you, and he knows what you suffered and what's happened. And so I would be encouraged, right? So
Right. So,
Of course.
yeah,
Right.
that's good. Um, I don't want to pry and press, but how are you doing right now? Are you feeling okay? What's going on?
I'm okay. I'm just, like I said, trying to stay focused.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I am okay. Things
Okay,
are getting better. Uh,
good.
Definitely trending in the right direction. Just trying to tie up some loose ends.
Well, good. And
Yeah.
may this story for you be the bow on your shoe or your hat, whatever you call it, whatever analogy that might be. But
Absolutely.
I think that you look at it, well, let's kind of recap, right? The story starts with a house on fire. A lot of these stories can be interpreted like a dream, and and then you went through a channel of darkness and transition that you don't know where you're going. But then you entered that place of healing, and I think that in order to go back to the restored home, that's what happened in that garden with the horse, with that fountain, the gurgling living water. I would take home that for tonight. So after we get done with the show, I would go and seek his heart and talk to him about it. And feel free to email me. I'm available to you too. So I want to be able to continue to be a source of help and encouragement for you. So is that okay?
Will
Does
do.
that
I appreciate that. Absolutely.
okay? Good.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't
It's
want to
been
leave
a
you
wonderful
hanging,
experience.
So, and
Oh, no, no.
but before we wrap it up here, um, obviously, I'm finding that when people get these stories, there's a bit of a shock reaction as they are processing. Is there anything else that you want to say about the story, about what happened here tonight?
Um, that it was really reassuring. And I feel like it's definitely, a part of my healing. And
Hmm.
like you said, it's very encouraging. Um, I definitely recommend doing it. It's definitely a very fascinating experience that someone could do what you do.
Yes,
So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty
thank you.
much it.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a real
appreciate it.
honor. Thank you. I mean, it's a real honor for me to do this for you because, um, you know, I know the uniqueness of this, and I want more people to do what I'm doing. I don't want to
Mhm.
claim this is all mine,
This is online.
and it's a real
It's a
privilege
real
to meet
privilege.
someone and touch their
Someone
hearts in
touch
this
them.
way. And I'm glad. Thank you for trusting me. I really do appreciate it. Um,
Absolutely.
would you recommend to other people to order a story or even an illustration like from my wife, like the others have?
Absolutely. You know what? I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't order the illustration. I wish I would. I wish I would have.
Oh, that's
I wish
fine.
I would have.
You can
But
still.
I definitely recommend this. Absolutely.
Thank you. Awesome. You know what? It's not too late, Andrea. You can still get a illustration from us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you go
Wonderful.
all the stories and stuff, what would happen is you can go to legendsofthewind.com. You can see our
Hmm.
previous season of YouTube videos, which is different than this. And then there's a store. If those are you who are viewing want to order a story from me, you can. And you can go to legendsofthewind.com and go to the store or shop. What I can't remember which one it is. And then in the shopping center area page, whatever you call it, is order a story, a package for a story and illustration. And those who want to do something later on, they can get an illustration. My wife, Alisha Choi, has designed like this one for Christina. This is
Right.
childhood, and there's also a continuation on the back. And this is a one-off print. So this is a special print. And my wife Alicia designs the images, and so she takes my stories, and she comes up with her image, and I kind of have some input, but she mainly does it on her own, and she's amazing at what she does. And we also have products and things like that there too. So if you're interested, check it out, and I can send you, Andrea, a link to the store for you to do that. But thank you very much for
Great.
being a part of this. Yeah, and this whole thing's gonna happen slowly and grow slowly, and one moment by moment. Word of mouth is really cool because that's the way it's gonna go. And so share this video. Please subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell button. All that fun stuff. Share and like and comment. I don't know. I don't see any comments on the chat at this time, so I don't know who's out there, if anybody. But I want to bring it back to you, Andrea, is that this is a special night that you'll never forget. And this is something that will be kind of like a partition in your life. I really do believe that the trauma that you've endured all this time, it will be your past, and that your future is much brighter. And I
Right.
think that this is a dividing line for you, that the year of February 2022 will be a magnificent before and after for you as you venture into whatever you do. I never got to ask you, but what is your career? Or are you a student, or what are you doing?
No, I am a business owner. I
Okay.
own a logistics company,
Mm-hmm.
and I also own a supportive living agency.
Oh, okay. So are you working with elderly people or something like that?
People that have more geared towards people that have developmental disabilities.
Okay. Okay. Well, man, thank you for what you do for that, for those people. That's really important. They need you.
It is.
So,
It is.
good. Well, did you ever get to see the book that we published last fall?
Legends of the Wind.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, I haven't started reading it, but I have it. I have purchased it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we want to be creative and bring healing. So that's kind of the method of what we're doing here. Andrea, thank you so much for tonight. And
Thank you.
I'll
Thank you for
email
having me.
you your story. And I would just encourage you to take your time, go slow, and process what's happened, and just find that gurgling fountain and see what happens in your heart. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Cool. Well, it's a pleasure seeing you tonight, Andrea. Thank you for letting me read you your story and deliver it to touch you. And thank you, everyone else, for watching Legends of the Wind. And I'll see you on the next broadcast. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.